Hello everyone, Jules here. Today I'd like to talk about one of my favourite decks from this year, 2023, which is the Necronomicon Tarot. This was published by Insight Editions and the art is by James Bousema, and the little white book, or the guidebook, is written by Christopher March. And I'm really keen on this deck. It's one of my favourite decks for this year. I am quite a Lovecraft fan, so that's the reason why I wanted this deck. But I also was very attracted to the great art in the deck as well. And I think this is one of the best decks that Insight Edition have published. The other one that I like that I have is the Tarot del Toro, which is another great deck. And I wanted to show this one today and talk a bit about this because I am a Lovecraft fan, and I have got another video on my playlist. I've got a video about H.P. Lovecraft books and things like that on my channel for people who are interested. So that's the box, just the usual Insight Editions box. And here is the little white book or guidebook. The guidebook is quite good. I really like the guidebook. It's got coloured pictures in here for each of the cards, for all of the cards. So, for example, here, like that. I like the way for the Major Arcana cards that there is very often there is a quote from some of the stories written by H.P. Lovecraft. I really like that. There is an upright and reversed meaning for the cards. And the Major Arcana cards, quite a few of the titles have been changed to fit in with the Lovecraft genre, because these are all inspired by the stories. So that's okay. You can really follow, I think you can follow this quite well. For other people who don't like titles being changed, well, I think in this case it's really fitting. It sort of just fits in. And there are also some special spreads in here. There's about 4 or 5 spreads that are specially created for the deck. So there is one called Exploring Fears, and the Exploring Fears spread is really like a smaller version of the Celtic Cross in design. It's like, you know, the cards from 1 to 6, that kind of design from the Celtic Cross. That spread is called Exploring Fears. Then you have another spread called How Do I Handle This? And The Hero's Journey, which is 3 cards. And there's another 4 card spread called What Do I Fear? But I think that's great as well. I think that's a really good idea. So I really liked the book. I think it's written quite well. So now to show some of the cards that I particularly like. And with this deck, I like most of the cards. So I always like it when that happens. The cardstock is really quite good. Insight Editions usually does good cardstock. And I like the back of the cards. I love the design. It's a sigil design on the back. I love the colour as well. Can't really like that. So here is card number 1, which would normally be the Magician, but this is called Manipulation. This is a picture of Lovecraft himself, and as the author of all the stories, I can see why Lovecraft was chosen for this one, because a magician manipulates energy. So this is really Lovecraft being the magician and creator of his stories. So this is a great card. Here you have Imagination instead of the High Priestess title. I think that's a really good choice as well. Really like that. These cards have a matte finish. And it's quite a nice matte finish. It's got a smooth matte finish. This is Growth, what would normally be the Empress card. And the artwork is quite atmospheric, so I think choosing the artist for this, James Bousema, is quite a well-respected fantasy and science fiction themed artist, so he's just the perfect choice for this. So that's Growth. So what would normally be the Lovers card, this is Aliens, and quite a few Lovecraft stories involve alien life. And when you read the book, the meanings in the book, it will make more sense. But what I see in this card is the interrelationship between life on Earth and possible life forms of the universe, because a lot of the stories of Lovecraft were on that theme. This is Desire for the Strength card. I like this too. Some people may see this as a dark deck, which it kind of is, or a fantasy deck. I see it more as a kind of a science fiction themed deck. But for me, I think there is a thin line between fantasy and reality, and that's what I think Lovecraft thought as well. So I see this deck not so much as a fantasy or science fiction. I think this is bordering on reality. And quantum physics is really an indication of that too. A fine line between what we think is reality and what actually is reality. It's all to do with our perceptions. So that's Desire. And Change, what would be the Wheel of Fortune card. I like this for what would normally be the Justice card. This is called Guilt or Truth. Guilt stroke Truth. So this is sort of a little bit along the lines of what I was just talking about. The fine line between fantasy and reality, all to do with our perceptions. what is reality really? What is the world around us, or the universe? It's really just a reflection. Like that saying, through a glass darkly. So I like this for what would usually be the Justice card. I think this is a great sacrifice. This is what would normally be the hanged man or the hanged one. I think this is great. This is called sacrifice. And the hanged man does represent, the sacrificial kind of act, or shaman theme. So this is very appropriate. Really like this card. And here is the Death card, and you've got the Angel of Death here. Great card. I really like this for the Devil card. This is corruption. I think very fitting for the times that we are living in, and have been for a while, for a number of years, and it's just getting worse. And I think this is why I see this deck more as reality than science fiction. For me, this is a kind of a reality check deck. So corruption is a great card for the Devil. Also like this, for what would normally be the Tower card, this is Sins of the Ancestors. Very true. I think all of the generations of humanity, all of them, as far back as you can go, are partly responsible for the state of the world now. And I think all of us, or a lot of us, if you do ancestral work, you're going to find things that you don't really want to know about. So that's the reality of ancestry. So I think people need to be careful about doing ancestor work, because if you actually look into that, you're going to find a few skeletons in the closet and things like that. So Sins of the Ancestors, very appropriate. The Moon card is madness, and Lovecraft had a fear of madness because both of his parents suffered from mental illness, and they were having to go away to asylums or sanitariums, what they called them in those days. And Lovecraft was really quite concerned and worried about his ancestry in that way. And I like what the author of the guidebook is saying, that the harnessing of Lovecraft's imagination through his writing, here is a card again, which would normally be the High Priestess card. The author of the guidebook is saying that Lovecraft harnessed his misgivings and fear about a lot of things through his imagination and his writing and his stories. So I think that's quite true. Then for what would normally be the Judgment card, you have chaos. And to me that fits in very well with chaos theory of the universe. Very true. And I think the reality of life is a lot closer to chaos than what we think, and if we're starting to be aware of that, we'll realise just how much chaos there is all around us and within us. And the last card I'm showing for the Major Arcana, the Void, which is the perfect choice for what would normally be the World card. But I think of this as the Universe card in the Thoth style. I often think of this card as the Universe rather than the World. So this is called the Void. So I like that too. Now to have a look at a few Minor Arcana cards that I like. I see this as a really good deck for inner work. It's great for reflecting on different issues. Now the Wands suit is called Torches. So here's the Ace of Torches. And a lot of Lovecraft stories are like adventure stories, sort of in the vein of Raiders of the Lost Ark type of thing. So I really like this choice for the Wands. So this is the Fire Energy Ace of Torches. And this is the Two of Torches. And the Page of Torches. And what I think is really fascinating about Lovecraft as well, some people might think, well, what does Lovecraft have to do with tarot? But Lovecraft was quite fascinated by esoteric subjects, and that is why quite a few of his stories touch on esoteric mysteries. So he had a fascination for those things. It was like a love-hate kind of thing that he had for esoteric subjects. Now you're getting into like the science fiction part of his writing, which is the Ace of Beakers. So this is sort of like the mad scientist water suit. So Ace of Beakers, Two of Beakers. So it's like a chemical reaction of the Two of Beakers. And I love this King of Beakers. So he's the academic scientist who is at home thinking about other worlds of the universe that are just streaming out of the top of his head. That's the King of Beakers. Then for what would normally be swords, you have books. And I think this is a great choice for swords. This is the Ace of Books. And this is my favourite suit in the deck. I nearly always like the sword suit. And this is the grimoire theme. The Necronomicon is normally, it's seen in Lovecraft genre as a grimoire, and that is why this is the suit of books. So this is the Ace of Books, and I like this for the Five of Books. So you've got all of these keys and padlocks. This is the challenge of the Five of Books. And the Five of Swords is normally a challenging card. It's a card about challenge. So I really like this for the Five of Books. And I like this for the Seven of Books. I think this is great. You've got a hooded, almost a spectre figure who is stealing one of the grimoires from the shelves. So I really like that. And the Knight of Books. Like that. And even the Necronomicon box itself, it looks like a grimoire, and there's a padlock here for the book. So I really like that. In the introduction to the guidebook, there is in the introduction, it's like a short story written by Christopher March, and it's sort of implying that the Necronomicon was a kind of a mysterious tarot deck. But what the Necronomicon is really about with Lovecraft is a grimoire that is also a mysterious grimoire that there's been a lot of speculation about whether the Necronomicon actually did exist or not. And so the introduction by Christopher March, it's sort of saying that there was also a mysterious tarot deck. But it's also, it's obviously just a very clever ploy by the author of the guidebook. So this is Pentacles, and I know this doesn't look like a pentacle, it's a crystal, but this is the Ace of Pentacles. Like this for the Two of Pentacles. I think this is one of the best Pentacles cards I have seen. And you can see this key again, the key to the mysteries. A lot of Lovecraft stories are about breaking some kind of code. And you've got the two worlds either side. And I think this is a great choice for Two of Pentacles theme. So this is the only suit that has a traditional title for the suit. Two of Pentacles and the Queen of Pentacles. So the assignment of the elements for this deck are all basically the same as a standard tarot deck. So Queen of Pentacles. So that's a few of the cards from the Necronomicon Tarot, art by James Bousema, published by Inside Editions, and I'll put some details below the video. And just before I go, I want to remind people of a publication of Lovecraft stories. This is an anthology called the Necronomicon, the best weird tales of H.P. Lovecraft, and I've shown this on my channel on another Lovecraft video for people who are interested, and I will put some details about this book. This is the commemorative edition of the Lovecraft anthology. So I wanted to show this as well for people who are interested in learning more or finding out more, reading more about the Lovecraft stories. So, Necronomicon Tarot, only the box, this kind of symbol emblem is a little bit shiny and glossy, but the rest of the product is smooth matte finish. I think this deck is great. It's one of my favourite decks of 2023. It's just so well done. I'm interested and I like Lovecraft writings and stories anyway, but I think I still would have gotten this deck because I love the artwork, I love the great way this has been put together. I think the guidebook is quite good. So I really like this deck. And I'll put some details below the video. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.